Hi, it's time once again to take a look at what I colored for the month of December 2019. And if you see this video, that means I was successful at uploading it to my new laptop that I got for Christmas and putting it through the editing process, so we shall see. I want to start with a page I did in World of Flowers by Johanna Basford, and the reason I want to start with this I did this with my 48 set of Arteza pencils I got last year, and I was watching a video review by Zucchini Kitty reviewing the new 120 set, and she discovered that her regular pencils activated with water. Now, since then they sent her a new set, but out of curiosity I checked mine, and sure enough, my regular pencils activate in water. So I decided to do a page using them as watercolor. And now, they're not that great as watercolor pencils, probably because I'm thinking they're a mixture between the regular formula and the watercolor formula, that somehow they got mixed up, or the batch got mixed up. Because when you apply the stroke of the pencil to the paper, it doesn't all smear and wash away. You're left with a lot of lines, and I noticed that even on this paper. So I think applying them with a light coverage, and then trying it that way instead of putting down heavy lines on the paper. And so I thought, well, I'll just use them as regular pencils, but if I need a backup color for some of my other small watercolor pencil sets I have, I'll use those. But anyway, so that's from World of Flowers. I'm filming this on my Canon camera. I was filming my videos on a small iPhone, but for some reason it's not compatible with my new laptop. I can't plug it in, so I'm using this old camera of mine. Next, I did one in Inklings by Tanya Bond. There we go. And this one I did with Arteza gel pens, water-based markers, and Crayola watercolors. For the background, I used the Crayola watercolors. This was one of my whips from last month. I just had the background to complete. Next, I did some in Zendoodle Magical Fairies by Deborah Muller. And this one was done with Crayola watercolors, Cezanne colored pencils, and water-based markers and gel pens. And the second one, uh-oh, did I lose it? Oh no. Oh, there it is. And this one, I use Crayola watercolors, Prismacolor Scholars, and glitter markers and gel pens. I did some in Light of the Angels by Deborah Moeller. And this one was done for a limited color palette challenge on Deborah Moeller's Facebook group. And I used Crayola Super Tips and pencils and some gel pen. And this one I used water-based markers, including Crayola Super Tips and Prismacolor Scholars on her skin, acrylic paint for the background, and glitter gel pens and markers. And this one, there we go. I did this one with water-based markers. I say water-based markers, you know, it could have been some I got from the discount store or Crayola Super Tips. That's what I mostly have for watercolor or water-based markers. I have Bics and Sharpies for alcohol-based markers, and just a small skin tone set of Art and Fly. And I also used Faber-Castell Classic pencils on this, and glitter glue and gel pens. And this was for a couple of Christmas color-alongs on Instagram. Biblio Holiday, hosted by John at Bibliophile Colorist, and Colorista Passionata, and her color along was Joy of Christmas 2019, I believe. And there we go. And this one was done with a variety of budget colored pencils, including Bic Conti, Crayola Artist pencils, which is they're just a 24 set, and they come in a small tin, and Faber-Castell Eco pencils and Classics. And I think that was it for this book. And next, I did one in Ornamental Fashions by Mingju Sun. I did quite a lot by her this month. And this was also for some color alongs. For Colorista Passionata's color along and the Bibliophile Colorist. And I used Arteza and Faber-Castell Goldfaber pencils, Bic markers, and acrylic paint, and of course some glitter and paint marker for that little design I created here. I think that's it for that book. I did a couple in Fantasy Fashions, also by Mingju Sun. This one I also did for the Christmas color alongs, because I thought her dress resembled a Christmas tree, so I colored it in various shades of green, using Crayola markers, Arteza pencils, that was for her skin, gel pens, and Prismacolor gold pencil for the background. And one more in back here. Yeah. And I also did these small details in her dress with gel pen, and the rest was done with watercolor pencils. I think I used Staedtler and Reeves and Crayola. And on the flowers here, I also used the reds in the Prismacolor watercolor set. And the background was done with watercolor from a cheap set I got at Walmart. And her skin was done with Arteza pencils, and her hair. And her jewelry was also done with gel pen. I did one in Art Deco Fashions by Meiju Sun. Sometimes I get in these moods where I color a lot from one book or from one artist. And this one was done with watercolor pencils mostly, and some gel pen. And let's see, the skin was done with Cezanne colored pencils. One of my goals is to finish this book in the next year. This one and the next one I'm going to show you. This one, Beautiful Dresses. That's one of my coloring goals for 2020. And I did one in here. I've been coloring these in order, and I have maybe a dozen left to color. There we go. This one, for the background, I used Sharpies and Bics, and I used Prismacolor Scholars for the rest of her. Yeah. Curious to see how this is going to look. It looks rather dark on my lens. Alright, I did 3 in Nutcracker Designs by Marty Noble. And these 3 were also done for the Christmas color-alongs. And this one was done with Arteza, gel pens, and Scholars. And what I did the background with Arteza, and for these 3 jokers here I used the Scholars because I wanted to have a similar color scheme but not the exact colors. So that's why I switched to a different set to get a different variety of oranges and reds. And there we go. And this one, I kept the background white because I wanted it. Wasn't sure what else to do with it, and I thought, well, it looks good white, so I'll just leave it. And I used Sharpies and Bics, the Scholars, gel pens, and the water-based markers, including that $3 set I got from Five Below. And the one on the last page This one I used watercolors and some gel pen, and yeah, I think that's it. Can't remember what I used for their skin because I lost the paper to it, or I just forgot to jot down what I used. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was first time coloring a full page in this book too. And then once I colored one, I was in a mood. I did one in A Million Christmas Cats by John Bigwood. This was a double page spread. This was kind of fun, something different for me. I don't usually go for these type of sketches, but you know, it was Christmas and this book was given to me by a friend last year as a good get well gift after surgery. I used Crayola watercolors for the background and gel pens, and I also included this one, another color along, hosted by Shades of Pure Joy on Instagram. It was Shades of Winter Joy 19. I did one in Color Me Jane by Jackie Oakley. This was a, you know, fairly simple one that I can't find now. There it is. Yep. Watercolors and shaded with pencil, and the border was done with gel pens. See if I can get it just a little bit closer. Now, her dress looks blue on camera, but it's actually a lavender. I did one in Bohemian Beauties, illustrated by Darian Addict, aka T. Fallon. And this one was done with Crayola watercolors for the background and some super tips on the trees and the eyeballs in the trees, and some Prismacolor for I think what I did with the hair, I used a base color of watercolor and then shaded with Prismacolor. And I also used Prismacolor on these stone things, or I wasn't sure what these were, so I created them as stones, and I used Prismacolor for those, and then accented them with a holographic paint. The holographic paint, that idea I got from Sandy over at Color Creatively. And finally, I'll show you the page I'm currently working on in The Witcher. This is now a series on Netflix, and I'm on episode 5 right now. So it's kind of nice to, you know, be learning the story now. And yes, I've been coloring Geralt's hair black, but I know it's actually white, like Daenerys Stormborn. But what I did with the trees and grass, I used a base coat of watercolors and then accented with pencil. And I think that's how I'm going to use do the rest of this. Except maybe the sky. I'm thinking the sky I'll either use acrylic or soft pastels. I haven't decided yet. So that is what I've done for the month of December 2019. Happy coloring in 2020, everybody. Thanks for watching.